Hey guys, it's Maris. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. I hope you guys have been treating yourselves well this last week, taking some time for yourselves. Hopefully you did something fun this weekend. I actually started reading my next book, which is going to be Nick Cutter's The Deep, along with the Blood Beast Mutations. I can't remember the author's name at the moment, but there are two books that talk about a plague or a pandemic. I'm 27 pages in. It's cool so far. Not a lot has happened, but it's pretty cool. So today is going to be a little bit of a different book review, just because I'm going to add like a little thing. The book on Needless Street has a character who writes down their recipes. So I thought it would be fun to try out one of their recipes and see what it tastes like. I'm a pretty finicky eater, so it'll be fun. And then of course we'll be reviewing the others as well. All right, let's get started. The Others is a mystery thriller that takes place in Tel Aviv, and it features a woman named Sheila. And Sheila has a group of friends from college that were called The Others. And they called themselves The Others because they had agreed to never have children. But 20 years later, now in their 40s, they are ending up dead. The signature of these murders is each victim being tied up, and there is a baby doll on the scene in their hand or on their person. Someone asked why I was reading this book because it wasn't horror. And I got this in the Abominable Book Club box. I think the story sounded intriguing and interesting, and I am open to reading mysteries and thrillers and things like that, but I usually won't buy them. So if I get them in a box or something and it sounds kind of cool, definitely going to read it. And also, you know, I want to try and read the books that I have in my library. So I think this is a book that has a really good main character, in the sense that it's a main character we don't see that often. Her character is very complex. You kind of like pick that up as you're reading through the story. She harbors a lot of bitterness and judgment against the other women in her life. It seems like their relationships have failed at some point. There's a lot of resentment and tension. And Sheila is kind of being forced to revisit all of this stuff because of the murders. She's a little bit of a hard character to like at first because, like I said, she's like really judgmental. So she will, you know, kind of just make shitty comments about other women and their bodies and stuff like that. She definitely has like an insecurity with herself. She has a lack of confidence in her physical appearance. All of her friends and herself are in their 40s now. There's a lot of conversation about still feeling vital, still feeling valuable in society. And part of that is, you know, being viewed as a woman who can have babies, a woman who wants to have babies, a woman who is nurturing and takes care of other people. So if you don't display these characteristics, you know, people can take value away from you. And this is like kind of one of her things that she's very hyper aware of. So she always tries to play this role because she doesn't want to lose that value in the society that she lives in. So we do see a few examples of like people in the book who are kind of just like, they're sort of like, not NPCs, but you know, they're like other characters that are there, you know, who make comments like, oh, it's every woman's duty to have babies for the country, you know, stuff like this. Every woman wants children, you know, this type of thing. And this is sort of like something that she already knows where she stands, but because society can be so oppressive and because it can be so difficult, it's really hard for her to break free from the chains. So a lot of the story is kind of about her, you know, sharing her insecurities, which includes putting other women down, kind of objectifying them and stuff like that, which as the story kind of progresses and you get to learn who these people are, it starts to make more and more sense. So as a mystery, I mean, it wasn't as labyrinthian as I like. It wasn't as shocking or, you know, really chilling or anything. Some of the things that I was hoping for were a little bit more focused on the academic aspect, which was because she's this academic researcher and she's a writer and she gives lectures. I thought we'd get a little bit more of that life, but we don't really. But we do get to learn a little bit about these 3 women from the Bible who chose not to have children. It's Miriam and Michael and Lilith. And I think that the author really weaved those characters into the characters of the book really, really well. I thought it was done super clever. The story is a bit monotone. It doesn't really have like dynamics. It doesn't go up and down, you know, it's pretty straight. It's pretty straight. The murders and the police procedural, that's real minimal. It's very, very minimal. The conclusion of the book about like, you know, who the perpetrator was or whatever and why it happened didn't feel completely solid for me. Like, it was like, okay, all right. I felt like it should have been more. I guess that's all I can say, really. The one, like, I guess major complaint that I have about the book though, and this is in the very, very beginning of the book, so it's not a spoiler, but when they find the first murder, the victim is tied up and the victim has a doll glued to her hand. And this doll is not like a typical baby doll you buy at the supermarket. It's like a reborn doll. And reborn dolls, if you've seen them before, you know about them, they are very, very special because they are handcrafted, they are hand painted, they're hand everything. And the people who buy them are not just anyone, you know? They are a specialty item. So I got really excited because I thought that this reborn thing was gonna be part of the murders, you know, part of the crimes, part of the criminal, whoever they were, part of their story. But the reborn doll didn't make an appearance again. And I was disappointed in that because I thought that was a very creepy connection that just was a wasted opportunity. But I was also like, why would you even mention it then? Like, if it's not gonna, because it's like such a particular thing. Like, if you like a character-driven story and you don't like gore, and you don't want to hear a lot about murders and stuff like that, this is a good one because you're really getting to know Sheila and getting to know her life, and that's kind of how everything's unfolding. I felt that this mystery was okay. It wasn't like something that really, you know, shocked me or surprised me or, you know, took me off guard or anything. I didn't have that experience with it. But I felt that the character of Sheila was pretty interesting because she's this woman in her 40s and she is struggling with getting older. And she's struggling with it in not just in a physical way, you know, like having back pain or, you know, not being as thin as she once was, but also in society, how society views women at that age, and also how society views women who don't want children. So let's try book food. Should this be a new segment? Maybe, possibly. It depends on how many recipes I come across. Heat oil in a frying pan until it smokes. Butter 2 slices of bread on both sides. Take some cheddar, take some honey and spread it over both pieces of bread on one side. Put the cheddar on top of the honey. Put slices of banana on top of the cheddar. Now close the sandwich and fry it in the pan until it's golden brown. When it's ready, shake salt, pepper, and chili sauce all over. There's banana, honey, Gouda, and salt and pepper on top, and butter on the outsides. And it also calls for chili sauce. So I'm gonna try it with and without. Okay, I've never had banana and cheese together before. Let's give it a go. It's not bad. You can actually barely taste the banana. Let's try the hot sauce. Ran out of our Tapatio, which we can actually get here, which is my favorite hot sauce in the whole entire world. This is like, meh, whatever, but it's all I have. So I'm gonna try this. It's actually really good. Wow. The hot sauce and the banana go really well together. Who knew? This is weird, but I think it's gonna be one of my new favorite things to eat. So this is gonna be really hard to describe this story because I don't want to tell you anything that would give spoilers away, because the beauty of this story is kind of going in without really knowing too much about it. So how do I tell you this story without ruining it? This story is about a man named Ted. Ted and his cat, Olivia, and his daughter, Lauren. And they live in the house on Needless Street. Ted has a few issues, you know. He seems to forget things quite often. He seems to kind of get lost in his own thoughts and his memories. But he seems to be able to take care of himself fairly well and take care of his little family that he has. Now there's this woman who has lost her sister. She lost her sister like over 10 years ago. And she comes across some information given to her by a detective, and she believes that she knows where her sister is and that her sister is probably being held against her will. So she travels to this town, to Needless Street, to solve a crime. This book is so damned good. Good. A story that is compelling and that is very clever in how it reveals itself to you, what it's telling you. A lot of the time with reviews on books, I don't really pay them that much mind because I don't know how honest they are. I don't know. But in this case, Kieran Millwood Hargrave says a masterclass, unsettling, beautiful, sad, and wise. 100%. 100% yes.
They forgot creepy.
It's not super scary, but it's super creepy. Like, it's so creepy. Like, the creep factor is so high. And it's a very specific type of creepy, which is like one of my favorites. Can't tell you what it is, obviously, but it is really, really creepy. It wasn't what I expected. And it wasn't what I expected like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times reading the book. So some of us will catch on earlier than others about what's going on. Some of us will have sneaking suspicions, which is kind of like what I did. I started having these like sneaking suspicions about things, but every time I thought it was this, it wasn't, but maybe, but then something else would happen. And I'd be like, what? So then it would just it just was throwing me back and forth, and it was so fun. And I really, really enjoyed that. This is not a true crime story, but it does have these true crime vibes. We have the woman who's looking for her sister who's been gone for 10 years. That really adds to this kind of true crime mystery. And then we have this guy, Ted, who could possibly be this monster who's holding her sister. I couldn't read it fast enough. It was horrible. Like, in the sense of like, I'm trying not to blur, like just, I'm trying not to skim the page because I really want to like know exactly what's going on. So I had to like slow down and read it. But I think I read it in like 2.5, 3 days. There's a really amazing afterword that you should read when you're done with the book. Don't read it before, it'll ruin everything. And it really made me feel like the author cared about her subject matter a lot. Like, if you like Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach, you'll definitely like The Last House on Needless Street. Definitely like that. So if you like something really creepy with some very well-developed characters that takes you on this kind of like, it's not even snaky. It's crazy. It's all over the place, and takes you, you know, into these depths of humanity. You're gonna like it. What I liked about the way the book was laid out was that every chapter has the name of the character on top. I know for a lot of us, You know, sometimes that can be really confusing if you don't have the name of the character when you're switching perspectives. I mean, I think it's pretty important that we know who's talking, unless it's like really clear right away. So I did like that a lot. And it also kind of got me excited because I'd be like, ooh, this is a Ted chapter. And this is something that I can tell you because it's really early in the book. Olivia the cat talks. So yeah, I love Olivia. I love Olivia because she's, so most of the characters in the book are pretty serious, you know? But Olivia is like the one character who's like kind of funny. Like she cracks a joke here and there, you know? And it's really, really charming. It just sort of adds something special to the story. I love cats, so I actually like it anytime there is a cat in a story. I just like it. Another thing I can say is like, there's not just one story here. There's other things, other storylines that you get to discover. So yeah, so I highly recommend you guys reading this book. It's thought-provoking and interesting, touching and sad and creepy and just a damn good read. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, please like and comment down below. If you'd like to get more videos from me, please subscribe. Other than that, please take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.